So today is yellow coat day apparently because I was going to work outside, but it's kind of brutal and blustery. I'm going to let it warm up a little bit. So I'm looking at playing with antennas here. So in the last video, I soldered these end connectors on that you'll see here, and I did it on both antennas. So now the thing to make sure before, so that your life doesn't get miserable when you're tuning, is take both the antennas ends and just kind of stretch them out. Make sure they stay lined up the best you can, because you want to make sure your ends match. And if you see, my ends don't. So I'm going to clip this one a little shorter. And there we go. They matched. I'll also do that to the 6-meter one to make sure those match. So everything's lined up here fairly well right now. And close enough for who it's for, because it's off by just slightly, but I think I started off just slightly off. So we're good there. So from here, this is all we can do on the ground. Well, one other thing I can do. Grab a couple of these. So I 3D printed these. Really, you could use chunks of pipe. There's many different ways. These are spacers. These are meant to space your wires apart. And I haven't seen how they intend the use of it, but I'm going to put the wire in through here, and then I'll put a zip tie around it so that everything works. The only problem is that my existing antennas, obviously I'm not going to take them down to run this through. So I am going to run through this hole here and then zip tie them through this hole here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. That way I can have these all set up and preset and ready to go. All I have to do is put it up and attach it to the old antenna. Then we'll see how it kind of rides after that. That way I've done as much groundwork as I can in the warmth, and then we will come back from there. So let me get those attached, and then we'll circle back. Okay, so I think I have a plan here now. So I got one spacer here, and this spacer here will connect it to the wire that's already hanging. And then as I go down the line here, however this kind of falls, because it's all twisted right now, it'll hang like this, and then I'll do something to pull on this side here to keep it kind of taut, and then this connector here will kind of hang right next to it, and then the last one is here, which again I'll hook something up to it so it stays a little tighter, so it'll kind of keep everything spaced out the best I can. And we'll see if the plan works. The biggest point here is this is loose right now, so I can slide and adjust as necessary, and because these two things need to connect up to that connector sitting on top there. So I'm going to do the same thing to the next one, and then see if I feel nuts enough to get up there and take care of it today. So I didn't record it, but I cut 4 segments of parachute cord, and I melted all the ends so that they don't unravel or anything. And I think for the sake of ease, I'm going to tie them on up there. I'm not quite sure what kind of knot I'm going to do yet on that, but as long as it stretches out, that's all I care about right now. It's not for strength. It's really just to keep it straight. So that's all I need it for. Now I got to figure out what size wrenches I need, and then get everything up on the roof. And hopefully it's warmed up a little bit out here. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's still chilly out here, but let's get her done. I gotta throw a rope or at least tighten one rope here too yet. So we'll crawl up on the roof and get the next steps figured out. Okay, I have all my tools collected, and now it's time to crawl up. I don't think I'm gonna need that. Okay. My goal is always to minimize how often I go up and down, because you know, it can be a lot, and I mean, it is still dangerous, no matter how you want to spin it. So I just want to make sure I minimize it. So first, I think I'm gonna mount them up onto the wire, and then I will attach them after that. So since I have no tripod or anything up here, I'm going to take care of it, and then I'll just show you the results in the end. So it's not quite how I imagined it, but let's take a look. Here it is. So there's one end I have it tied out to kind of straighten it out, and there is a 6 meter portion hanging down, and then the other side it looks just as not just as ugly ultimately, but it should work. So I got to pull my 160 meter a little tighter so it gets up away from that stovepipe, and then we'll test the SCFBR. Okay, now that I got the antenna down, I want to show you how I mount up these long wires up. I use these 3mm double post poly wire splicer. I got it at Fleet Farm. I mean, that's kind of what it's intended for right there. And it works good for antennas because tape doesn't last, apparently. So here's how that looks like on the antenna, or on the mounted on the antenna, I should say. And then this end was taped, and I'm just going to tape it back, mostly because I don't want to change my SWR, and sometimes that does affect it. So I'm just going to wind this back up how it was, and then swing it back in the tree. The knot looks good so far, so I'm just going to leave everything else as is. Okay, and we are ready to push it back in the tree. And while I'm here, let me show you. I used to wrap everything around the trees, but now I'm using these eye bolts. Drill a hole, I'd screw them in, and it'll be mounted off that eye bolt from there. And there she is, all hooked up. And by the way, I don't know if you can see that there. You can see it there better. That works. We don't have enough room for our antennas. Did you just see that bend? Let me show you one other bend after I tie this thing up. There, as neat and tidy as she's gonna get. And she's ready for winter. So in order to validate any, hey, I don't have enough trees apart, I don't have that big enough property, so on and so forth. And this is for any length antenna. This is a 80 meter length, so 132 feet. But let me show you this one. This one I've been using for several years. It's hard to see it, but see all that tape right there? That's my antenna. That has been like that for several years. I didn't realize how short it actually, or how close to ground it actually was. But on that antenna, I have, at least on digital, I've gotten South Africa, Antarctica, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So just because you don't have something exactly spaced apart right, just because you don't have something that is far enough apart, if you have enough room that you can mostly get your 40 meter end fed from one point to another, do it. This is where I keep on saying you have to just do it. Just figure out a spot, just throw it up and see what it does, because you just never know. But now here, let's take a look at the antenna. She's looking pretty good, nice and straight wire there. Should be far enough away from the end cap there, and there she is there. She's ready to roll. So we're gonna do another part 3 after I clean up a couple things here, and we're gonna tune it and hope it's really close to start with. So until the next video, 7 3s.